occupied by the driver, Adaris Hayes, 20-year-old male of Largo. The front seat passenger, Najee Domingos, 19, male out of Palm Harbor. And a 16-year-old rear passenger from Largo, Jay Sean Hill. The Kia Soul was occupied by the driver, Gail Price, 78-year-old female from Largo. Front passenger, Herbert Rivera, 58-year-old male from Largo. And 2 juvenile rear seat passengers, Charlie Herbert Solomon Rivera, 4 years old from Wesley Chapel, and Jabari Elijah Solomon, 10 years old from Wesley Chapel. The crash is still under investigation, so specific details cannot and will not be discussed at this time. What we do know is that the Dodge Durango was traveling south on Ridge Road. The Kia was traveling north on Ridge Road and attempting to make a left-hand turn after turning westbound on the Orangeview Drive. The collision occurred, or while making the left turn, the Kia was struck on its passenger side by the front end of the Durango. The collision caused 2 children in the Kia to be ejected from the vehicle. Additionally, it caused both the driver and the front seat passenger to be transported for injuries. The 2 children, Charlie Rivera and Jabari Solomon, passed away at the scene. The driver, Gail Price, passed away at the hospital yesterday, and the front seat passenger, Herbert Rivera, remains in the hospital in critical condition. As far as the occupants of the Durango, the driver, Darius, and rear seat passenger, Jay Sean, were transported for treatment and have since been released. The front passenger, Najee, was not transported from the scene. We've been asked to comment on several facets of the investigation, which we simply can't do at this time. This includes how fast the vehicles were traveling, whether any of the occupants were wearing seat belts or were in child seats, and whether charges are to follow. At this time, as I said, we can't comment on these factors as they're still part of the investigation. It's a serious crash which resulted in 3 fatalities. Our focus is on ensuring that we gather all the pertinent facts and reconstruct the crash with all the available data. Once this has been done, it will guide the direction as to whether there will be any citations issued or any criminal charges levied. I have a brief update on another incident that happened last Thursday, but at this time, if anybody has any questions on the crash that I just spoke of, I'm welcome to ask them.
Could you just talk about, based on the investigation, who had the right of way?
Well, when you're making a left-hand turn onto another vehicle, onto a roadway, you have to make sure that you provide the right of way. So whether speed was a factor, whether the vehicle had the right of way, that's all part of the investigation. So the right of way is the main key point of that, right? Who had the right of way at the point of impact. So that'll be definitely part of the investigation.
Right now, who are you guys talking to learn more? Are you talking to areas? Who are you speaking to try to get more information?
Well, we'll take testimony from any witnesses. We do have witnesses. We have video from area cameras and from another vehicle that was in the area. We'll also take crash data from both of the vehicles that were involved. So all of that stuff, and in addition to that, we have equipment that we set up on a traffic crash scene to kind of reconstruct the entire incident. So we take that reconstruction with all the testimony and all the other video evidence, and we put it together to come up with how we reconstruct that crash.
Is there a timeline on normally how something like this takes place?
I would guess probably 2 or 3 weeks we should have a good sense of direction on where, if any charges are going to be filed, or any citations or any criminal charges will be filed.
Chief, could you just give some context for that road, how busy it would have been Saturday at 143, what the conditions are usually on that road?
It's like many roads in Pinellas County, it's a major thoroughfare, so it's got times when it's super busy and times when it's not. 1:30 on a Saturday, I don't believe it's that busy, but again, that'll be part of the investigation because we do have some video, we do have some witness testimony to provide how much traffic was on the roadway at that time. I know the speed limit's posted at 40 miles an hour, and I think traffic was light from what I recall that day.
It's kind of ambiguous as to whether there's blood or toxicology taken in a fatal accident. Is that something that's done, or is there an expert that weighs in whether that should take place?
We have guidelines to guide us on whether or not we're going to do a blood draw or draw. It does happen frequently on fatalities, but typically we need some sort of an indicator to guide us in that direction. We don't just pull blood out of everybody just because you're in a crash. So if we have indications leading us to believe there's some sort of intoxicants or narcotics involved, then we'll go that route, and we work with the state attorney to do that if it's going to require a warrant. We don't have any indication at this time to believe there was any kind of alcohol or narcotics involved.
Will you guys be releasing any type of video or images?
We'll assess what the video is, and I mean, the reality is it's public record unless there's a way that we have to keep it closed from public view, then it'll be public record. But yeah, I don't plan on putting it out just overtly right now. Well, not right now because the investigation's still active.
Still an active investigation.
Yeah.
Do you know the relationship between the driver of the Kia Soul and then those passengers?
The driver of the Kia Soul, from what we gather at this time, was in a relationship with the passenger, the front seat passenger, and the front seat passenger was the father to the youngest child.
Any other questions regarding the crash on Saturday before he goes on to an update on the Thursday hit and run?
Largo Police giving an update about this triple fatal crash that happened over the weekend. No announcement yet when it comes to charges or a citation. He said that could come in the next couple of weeks, but the good news is no indication of alcohol or drugs that were used that could have played a factor in that. We are following more breaking news this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus, and that is from Tallahassee Police saying Phoenix Eichner, the suspect in the FSU shooting, has been released from the hospital. We know he had been in the hospital since the day of the shooting at Florida State in Tallahassee. He has now been taken to a detention facility in the region. That's according to Tallahassee Police, saying he faces 2 counts of first-degree murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. So Phoenix Eichner, out of the hospital, he had multiple surgeries to treat injuries, ostensibly after he was shot by police after he had opened fire on campus at FSU on April 17th. So a big update there. And one other item of breaking news here that we're following this afternoon, this out of Polk County, where we expect in the next hour to hear from Sheriff Grady Judd after 2 people are dead after a car crashed into a home. This happened in Lakeland on Pirates Way. Again, Sheriff Grady Judd expected to brief the media coming up at 5 p.m. Well, it is 4:06. That means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we're tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom today. And Fox 35 news anchor and reporter Marlisa Goldsmith joins me now. And Marlisa, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Absolutely happy to be here with you, Garrett.
We've already covered several big stories, big breaking stories as well. Our first story of the day was that triple fatal crash in Largo. That news conference started early, so not many new details with that we heard out of that news conference. So let's go ahead and talk about story number 2. And this one's getting a lot of attention involving some new details that have come out in a murder case out of Titusville.
Yeah, so here's the deal. There was a very disturbing 12-page handwritten plan allegedly created by David Barber that's been revealed by prosecutors. You may remember David Barber is the 35-year-old man accused of kidnapping and murdering 72-year-old Jessie Kirk of Titusville. This happened back in March. Her body was found hours after she was reported missing when she failed to show up for a morning walk with her friend. Now, this plan that you're looking at right here, allegedly written by Barber, included a timeline, a list of items for him to purchase for the crime, a reminder even to place fingerprints on a toilet lid, and financial motives included in that alleged plan. The state is now seeking the death penalty, citing the murder's premeditated nature and brutality. Just a terrible story, and even more terrible details that were revealed today, Garrett.
Yeah, I remember when this first came out and we kind of heard that there was this list found, this shopping list, in essence, that was found. But seeing some of those details, seeing some of the things, the timeline that was kind of written out, it really is kind of disturbing to see all of those details literally in black and white on a on a legal pad.
Right.
And I think, you talk about the premeditated nature of that. That's going to be hard for a defense attorney to argue against when you see those plans written out in such detail.
Now, the thing that stood out to me was them mentioning financial motives. Now, I'm curious to see what more is revealed pertaining to that, why he felt the need to do this, or what kind of motivated him to do such a thing. We do know that there was relation to Kirk's niece that he was in a prior relationship to leading up to this. So, again, this is just the latest of information that's been released to the public regarding this disturbing 12-page handwritten plan. I'm sure there will be plenty other details that are released in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. Story number 3 today, and that we're learning more about the victim who was killed in a shooting in downtown Melbourne.
Yeah, so this story happened over the weekend, a little before 2 o'clock, early Sunday morning in downtown Melbourne. Officers showed up. They found a 19-year-old man with gunshot wounds. He was then taken to the hospital, sadly later pronounced deceased. We've learned that this 19-year-old is apparently a football star. He was identified as Nathaniel Bernard Jennings of Palm Bay. City officials confirmed he was visiting from out of state and had family in the area. Jennings was a student at the University of Northwestern in Minnesota. There he is right there. And he was a defensive lineman on the school's football team. There he is in his football polo for the university. Investigators say that Jennings and the suspect were involved in some sort of verbal altercation leading up to this shooting. Police have since identified and named a suspect here, Stephen Dujus. He is in custody in connection to the incident, and that person, police say, is now claiming self-defense. There he is right there, an image of the suspect. At this time, he's being charged with manslaughter and is in the Brevard County jail complex.
And we know Fox 35's Caroline Coles has been following up on this story and spoke to the mother of the victim. We will hear more from her coming up on Fox 35 News at 5.
Yeah.
Story number 4 today, and that's the Orlando Valkyries coming home this afternoon with a Pro Volleyball Federation championship.
Can you believe it?
How about it?
That this is huge news. It's garnered attention nationwide. The Orlando Valkyries, they beat the Indy Ignite to win the 2025 Pro Football Federation Championship. So in addition to this championship title, look at them rushing the court right there. In addition to this title, Garrett, did I mention there's a $1 million bonus prize that Orlando's players will share? Can you picture all of the dollars? Can you just imagine that for a moment? Valkyries completed the worst to first turnaround in PVF history with a 3-1 victory over the Indy Ignite on Sunday. And this is the first PVF championship for the team. They did this. I gotta remind you, this all happened after an 8-16 record, and they tied for last place during their inaugural 2024 season. So this is big news.
They have certainly come a long way, a lot of improvement and progress, and that championship in Las Vegas over the weekend. So I will say probably a good thing that they got out of town before that $1 million bonus dropped.
Yeah.
But glad to welcome them back, and certainly exciting. I will say too, this is another championship in women's sports here in Orlando.
Are you keeping tab?
I mean, it's exciting times.
It is.
And certainly making an impact. And in fact, associate producer Johnny Jackson spoke earlier with the Orlando Business Journal about the impact of the Orlando Pride, the Orlando Valkyries now winning these championships and what it kind of means to the area. And we'll have more on that coming up later on here on Fox 35 News
I
Plus.
also wanted to mention that one of the players for the Valkyries, I was watching a national interview that she was doing, and they asked her about how they celebrated, and she said it was Vegas. And we all know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I think those girls had a good time.
I would say so. Well, they certainly earned it. Well, that is today's Top 4 at 4. Marlisa, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this. 10 seconds out, and we'll come straight to you.
Okay.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren joins me now. And Noah, been a bit of a busy day on that radar.
Yeah, much needed busy rain, Garrett.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're winding down now with the rain and the thunder from earlier, but this is going to wrap up a busy stretch we had with rainfall across Florida, but a really needed stretch. And I'll show you the radar right now, about 4:15 out there, and you can see to my over my shoulder, we've got rain still on the Space Coast tonight. It's going to be still raining probably Brevard County for another hour or two, but that's pushing to the east. There's a small chance from about Ocala to the Villages to Clearmont to Palm Coast. You see that broken line of little small showers on the western part of the peninsula. There's a small chance that those may grow with time as they track to the northeast, and I guess one or two of them could spin up something or turn severe. We'll keep an eye on that, but the chances are low. But the headline is the forecast, at least for rain today, was as advertised from last week. We had lots of rain, several inches of rain, not just today, but over the last few days. Now, in terms of the severe weather, thankfully, so far today, knock on wood, we've gotten away without any, and a large part of that is because probably had a lot more rain further into the day, at least than what it looked on Friday. Over the weekend, I wasn't looking at too much of the data, but obviously the point here is, if you go back and I'll show you the radar, to have severe weather in the afternoon or the evening anywhere on Earth, you got to have the morning and midday. At least the rain's got to be done by late morning if it's a day that has rain in the morning. It rained until 2-3 o'clock today. The point is that keeps the instability and the heating of the atmosphere down, which is a good thing. It inhibits severe weather potential for later in the day. So that's why that little line of storms from Gainesville to Spring Hill, it may strengthen a little bit. The sun's been out all afternoon in Ocala. It's 82, for instance. Here at the TV station, it's like 68. So there is a big difference as you see a bee fly into the camera. There has been a big difference today in the temperature. We'll keep an eye out for a few thunder showers up there. You see it's 83 now in Gainesville, 82 in Ocala. We've warmed at least a little bit, 70 in Titusville, 73 in Sanford, where there's more clouds and there's more rain. Humidity is up there over the weekend. It felt tropical. It's been feeling like August. The August air in May, I feel like, was a good preview from last week for the forecast. Humidity is in the low 70s. That's tropical. Heat index now is 88 in Gainesville, 86 in Ocala. Not much of a heat index around Orlando. All right, temperatures tonight about 70. So the steady rain from earlier is moving out. We'll watch that line of storms from Gainesville to Bushnell. Small chance one of them spins up something, but not too worried about it. Temperatures tomorrow, mid-80s, a blend of clouds and sun. So brighter tomorrow, but there still can be a few light showers passing on by tomorrow, but I don't think it's anything more than a few light showers. All right, so we talked about this last week. It's going to get hot and dry. So the good news is, Garrett, we had a lot of places, and I'll show you this tonight on the news, a lot of places got 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain the last 4 days, which is great. But that's not going to end the drought. The drought in many spots was 8 inches to a foot. So we've cut it in half. Now, obviously, the ground's going to be pretty wet and saturated for several days after this rainy spell. But drought has not gone away, and, you know, it's possible in a few weeks. We've got fire concerns and things like that again around Central Florida. We'll keep an eye on it. But outside of a small shower chance tomorrow, I mean, look at the 7-day. 95 Saturday, 96 Sunday, 97 next Monday. That's not the heat index, that's the air temperature. We'll be close to 100 in some spots of Central Florida, the actual air temperature. Now, the good news, if you're not a fan of the huge heat, is that the humidity won't be too high. So we're not talking about, like on Sunday, 96 with a heat index of 106 or 116, like we will get at some point in July and August. Thankfully, there's not going to be too high of humidity, so it's not going to be absolutely gross morning and night, you know, with the humidity. It's just going to be really, really hot. And in fact, 3 of those days there, Saturday through Sunday, Monday, will challenge records for the date. I think the record Sunday is actually 97 in Orlando, for example. So that's much above average, and it's going to be feeling every bit like water park, beach, and pool weather, my friend, as we head into this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be a necessity. 3 days in a row, 95, 96, 97. I tell you what, that is it's going to be quite a stretch.
It'll extend far. We only have a 7-day. It'll extend far beyond this, by the way, for context. So it's not like it'll just be 2-3 days this weekend.
Yeah.
Much in next week, too, looks very, very hot.
Staying hot. All right. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back in. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. Orange County leaders are meeting with Florida's congressional delegation in Washington, D.C. They're talking about concerns over federal funding for several programs, in particular Head Start. That's an early education program for more than 500,000 children that it helps. The Trump administration had initially proposed eliminating funding for it, basically just zeroing it out, but it since has backed off that position because of quite a bit of backlash after that initial proposal. Still, I talked earlier this afternoon with Orange County Commissioner Michael Scott, who said that's one of the things he's going to make sure lawmakers hear from him about the importance of a program like that.
The Orlando Economic Partnership sponsors a number of trips throughout the year to different places, different regions, and we go to DC once a year, advocate for different things that are important to our region, economic development, investment in our community. But in this instance, I think our advocacy is people and families. And so, at least for me, that is my priority. We have a number of us going. Both mayors, our county mayor and our city mayor, but it's a number of us going to just advocate for the things that are important to our community.
And I know one of the things you're kind of zeroing in on is the Head Start program, and with concerns over the funding. Can you talk to me about that?
So Head Start is just that. It gives kids a head start, but also families a head start. I was a Head Start kid growing up here in Orange County, and while Head Start is safe for the most part, there are other programs that support families who have kids in Head Start, and so looking to make sure those programs are supported as well as Head Start. So like LIHEAP, low income housing energy assistance program, and a number of other supportive programs that support our families.
Why are some of those programs so important?
Well, you think regardless of where you're from, your background, you're going to have challenges. I mean, that's what life is overcoming challenges. But not everybody has the resources to overcome those challenges. Not everybody has a mom or a dad or a grandma And so for me, it's making sure that those that need it, those individuals, those families that need those resources that are largely funded by the federal government, that those resources are still in place to help folks when they do have those challenging moments sometimes.
So who all will you be meeting with?
So we're going to meet with a number of congresspersons, specifically congressmen and women and senators that are in the full delegation. And so it's not just limited to the Orange County delegation of electeds, but just leaders that we can get time with. Obviously, given that the Republicans have the majority, certainly meeting with a number of those leaders to just impress upon them the things that help our community thrive, and hoping that when it comes time to pass a budget that they are thinking about Orange County when they do so.
And what is your message, and what are some of the other things that you'll be pushing for?
So for me, it's obviously maintaining the funding for Head Start, maintaining funding for LAHI, the Low Income Housing Energy Assistance Program. Again, I said I was a Head Start kid, but I also was a father going through challenges, and I know I called LAHI, and they were able to help me years ago. And so when you see the headlines, they talk a lot about this budget, that budget, fraud, waste, and abuse. But in those different statements, there are families, there are people that depend on these programs to be able to provide for their families. And so just making sure that, to what degree we can, those programs are protected.
Have you been concerned to hear of and see in the proposals, some of these cuts?
Well, first, it was really scary, honestly. Head Start was kind of on the chopping block, but thanks to the advocacy of the National Head Start Association and a number of partners, that isn't the case. But even in the funding for the Head Start, it doesn't include, some quality assurance funds. It does not include like a cost of living adjustment. And so then we as a county have to determine, how do we make up those deficits? What does it look like if we lose 10%, 15%, 50%, or 100% of funding? Can we still sustain these programs? And so for us, just making sure that these programs are still in place. But again, showing the outcomes. Like I said, I was a Head Start kid, and I think I've been successful largely because of investments made by people that didn't know me. I mean, obviously I have a family and those that love and support me, but we're part of a larger community that needs to support one another.
From a county perspective, Commissioner, when it comes to many of these programs, not anyone in particular, but many of these programs that you find important, losing federal funding for that, the county would probably have to make some tough choices.
Yeah, certainly tough choices because, I talk about like the family impact, but before that, it would be jobs. Because if, none of these programs are funding not only programs, but they're funding employees, county employees that provide these services. And so then if a program, any given program is not funded, then we have to determine, hey, can we still hire this person? Can we still maintain the funding to provide employment? So it's a domino effect. When you eliminate programs with little to no warning, you eliminate jobs, you eliminate opportunity, and in some cases you eliminate hope. And so really just advocating for the work that we know has been done, the impacts that we know these programs have on our families, and just kind of showcasing that these programs do make a difference. They aren't race, fraud, or abuse, and they are change makers for the families that depend on them.
How are you feeling going into this? Do you anticipate these lawmakers being receptive to what y'all have to say?
Well, this isn't my first trip to DC. My previous trips, they have been successful. You've heard different elected officials, congressmen, and speak of, Orlando by name and Orange County by name. And so it's really just, putting a human face to that dialogue, sharing, the information about how a specific program impacts our community. Again, when you look at these stories and you look at the funding, it's the larger, hey, we need to cut this 1 billion, 1 million, all the different dollars. But, you don't always get to see, hey, how does it impact one specific community or one specific family or a set of families? And so, adding that human voice, that human face to it, I think is important so that they can understand the decisions that they make.
And just bottom line for me, what you hope by the time you come back to Orlando, hopefully having already been to Washington, D.C. that time, what you hope to have accomplished there and what you want to see come from this.
So I hope to accomplish not only sustained funding for Head Start, but continue. Like, we know like Head Start would likely be funded in this year. We believe it's safe, but we want to know with certainty that's going to be safe, not just this year, but in future years. And so just making sure that they see the evidence, they see the data, they see the results that, hey, this is money and dollars well spent and well invested, but also here are the results of that. These young people that are able to go to school, able to go to college, these mothers and fathers are able to go to work and provide for their families because they have the resources in Head Start, they have the resources to support them when those challenges that life presents us come about. So for me, it's coming back with a win, coming back with some hope and some good news for the folks that depend on these dollars. The Orlando.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back. Breaking news on Fox 35 News Plus. We're getting our first look at Phoenix Eichner, his new mugshot after being taken to jail following his release from the hospital today. This mugshot courtesy FDLE. We also have learned that he is due to make his first appearance in court at 11 a.m. tomorrow in Leon County. So we will continue to monitor that as well. He is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. Again, Phoenix Eichner, the suspected FSU gunman, now behind bars after being released from jail following a number of surgeries and weeks in the hospital following that shooting on April 17th. Well, welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us this afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to bring in Fox 35's Chris Lindsay because Chris has been following up on some flooding issues in Seminole County that we learned what the cause may have been. Chris, what was the situation here? Chris, I believe you are muted.
Circle in Castleberry, and this morning there was some significant flooding at the intersection. I spoke with some homeowners who say it was similar to what they're accustomed to seeing when a hurricane is approaching or here. It turns out that when someone was servicing the pipes here, they had one of those drain plugs that they put in, and when they left the area, they forgot to remove it. So the water was essentially backed up, and that's why they saw a similar water buildup as a major storm.
Thankfully, an easy fix, at least, once it was kind of realized what the what the deal was. Did it cause any major issues?
No major issues. It was tough for traffic to get through here for a while. Earlier this morning, the flooding was very significant. That's a picture of the plug that they had there. It was at least about 18 inches or so of flooding here at this intersection. Once they were able to get that plug back out, the water slowly went back down and things are back to normal here in this neighborhood. So it was a major concern this morning, but no homes or vehicles or anything were harmed.
I'm sure those neighbors were glad, and I'm sure they were also shocked to see it. You compared it to what it was like during a hurricane, so I'm sure they were kind of surprised to see it backed up that badly.
Yes, I spoke with a woman who said once that water started creeping up, she started getting things ready just in case they were going to have to go. Obviously, at the time, they were unaware of this mistake that was causing this. They didn't know if it was a natural occurrence or not. So people were kind of making sure everything was okay. They for the chance that they may have to leave, but everything did end up okay. No one had to evacuate or anything like that.
All right, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We also want to go now to Ocala, where a park is closed because of some problems with sinkholes. Several sinkholes opening up at that park. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger joins us now live. And Marie, how bad is it?
Woo, it was pretty bad. Okay, I want to temper that, actually. I want to take that back. So the sinkhole was quite large. I'm with a video journalist, AJ Morgan. He is drone pilot certified. I'm certified as a visual observer. So we were able to send the drone over into the park, even though it's closed off. So we got a pretty good view of it earlier. And it is quite large. But the reason I kind of want to take back what I said is at least it was not near homes. So as far as the damage we're seeing, it did do some pretty good damage to the road here in this park, but nobody was hurt, and there aren't it wasn't like in the middle of a neighborhood or anything that would cause some huge disruptions. But yeah, it is quite big. I'll turn you around just for a second so you can see kind of what we're looking at. This is the park. It's the Ocala Wetland Recharge Park, and there you can maybe see in the background there's a couple of really, really nice boardwalks. That's over where the sinkhole opened up. But right now you can see park closed. It says due to maintenance, which I guess is technically true. We were able to talk with the city earlier today. They have engineers who are coming out here. They have a whole team that's going to be checking this out just to make sure that they can open the park up safely just by blocking off the specific areas where the sinkhole opened up. I also asked about whether they think this could happen again. It's been raining a lot. Did that contribute to this? They said sinkholes are just a thing that happen in Ocala and in this region. It's barely worth explaining or getting into the nitty gritty of it, but Florida has really, really porous limestone underneath a lot of its ground that can, when water gets through, it can cause a collapse underneath the ground, and that's what leads to sinkholes, or what the city of Ocala is calling a subsurface subsidence. So they said they're common here. Just because one opened up right here, right now, doesn't mean there will be another in the next day, but they want to make sure that's true before they let people wander around the park. They'd originally thought they would be able to take me through today just to get a better, closer look at the sinkhole, but then they decided against that just to make sure that it's not dangerous. But this park is really popular. I talked with a lot of people in this area today who said they frequent it. I talked to the leasing manager at an apartment complex nearby that just opened up. They said 70% of the people living in that apartment complex were using this park to at least walk around and enjoy nature. So it's definitely a hard hit. Fortunately, though, the city said they hope to have it open by the end of the week.
All right. So things are looking up then. Hopefully things don't continue to, hopefully those sinkholes don't grow, and hopefully they are able to do that. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger, we appreciate you joining us live from Ocala.
No problem.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, they started at the bottom and now they're back here in Orlando. The Valkyries as PVF champions, the 2025 Pro Volleyball Federation champions, 1 year after tying for last place in the league. The Valkyries back here in Central Florida is now celebrating this championship, and it comes also on the heels of the Orlando Pride's championship last year. And earlier today, associate producer Johnny Jackson talked with Ryan Lynch, who's a staff writer with the Orlando Business Journal, about how those two championships highlight the growth and also the economic impact of women's sports here in the greater Orlando area.
Yeah, and I think looking at the amount of success that women's sports has had in the past 12 months, you had the Pride win both a regular season and a postseason championship, and now the Valkyries doing that. I think that's a testament to obviously both teams being able to build up to that point. The Pride kind of more dominantly with their regular season record of undefeated games, and the Valkyries kind of running through and really building up to the championship. It's a testament to the assembly there and kind of what's happening for women's sports in Orlando.
We saw with at least the Pro Volleyball Federation, 2025 added a team, added essentially a third of the schedule on 116 total matches, 45 of them broadcast on national networks. I mean, media rights deals with Roku, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, and all the corporate partnerships. What's next? What could we see? What does it say about women's sports that all of these companies, all of these big brands are really putting money into this and investing into women's sports?
Definitely. And I think one executive that I spoke with put it to me the best, that, this is not a moment, this is a movement. And you're seeing a lot of those media companies really, the NWSL just announced a large media rights deal that kind of expanded the tent and brought in both some of its legacy partners as well as newer folks. And I think we'll continue to see that grow in terms of having more of these games on networks like ESPN or even ABC or CBS when it comes to a national audience being able to see this. I know with the volleyball as well, they've had a lot more nationally televised games, whether that's on cable or some of the other options. And I think we're starting to really see that. Sponsorship dollars is another thing. When you think of corporations wanting to associate with them, whether that's some of the local brands that you might know and love, or even some national brands, whether that's like a beer brand or somebody selling rent-a-cars or anything like that. I think when teams are winning, that really builds the opportunity for them to build up that type of sponsor revenue, because there are more eyes watching. There's more people around. You could go, oh, hey, this could be a really good partnership for us, not just to attach ourselves to a brand that's really succeeding right now, like a soccer team or a volleyball team, but it grows the audience. It allows you to reach more people. I think a lot of it, like if you point to the Pride, who obviously share their venue with Orlando City SC, they've really seen that growth, especially on the group sales side, when you have like, oh, a church group or a business group buying tickets for their employees or members to go out. The pride them being have seen a growth in those season ticket sales. I mean, I think I've seen a ton of those 10th anniversary jerseys going around that they gave out to all the season ticket holders. But to look at the Valkyries, I think there has been a lot of linear growth. Chatting with team executives earlier this year, there was a lot of talk about more people seeing them online. They stream matches on YouTube as well as their broadcast channels and having those grow, but also the number of fans going out. I know in the past they mentioned having some of those preferable dates on the weekends or weeknights towards the end of the week where you can get more fans out versus like a Monday or a Tuesday where it might be harder, to juggle the kids and have to go to a game after that. So I think the year two is really building on that initial foundation they set where they're able to go, okay, I can, draw more fans out here. We have more opportunities to have theme nights or build upon. They draw a lot of the volleyball clubs that are in town to bring some of the youth players out. So I think they're really trying to build upon what they did in the first season, and I think they succeeded in a lot of ways.
And what does it mean for Orlando in general to just, as simple as seeing more Orlando Pride and Orlando Valkyrie jerseys out when you're just in downtown?
Sure. I think that's an awareness thing for sports fans. I think you think a lot about a lot of the sports in this market. You have the Orlando Magic, or obviously the legacy brand when it comes to that. You have a lot of Orlando City jerseys, a lot of UCF stuff, especially with football and basketball. But it really brings awareness to people to go, hey, if you didn't go to a game before, these are things that exist in our market. They're right at home versus other places that might not have them. And I think it also grows the opportunity for some of these neutral site events when it comes to whether that's trying to draw things like the Women's World Cup and host games there, or even on the youth side. A lot of people don't know we have one of the largest youth volleyball tournaments that runs out of the convention center every year with the AAU Junior Nationals. So I think that continues to grow those sort of opportunities where we can go, hey, we've had success on the club side. Why not bring in some of these events that draw tourists, that draw fans from across the world and really bring them in. So it's kind of a dual benefit on that end. So.
And then what are the kind of some of the biggest challenges in terms of getting to that point? Like, what are the biggest hurdles that these teams in Orlando and Orange County are going to have to jump in order to get Women's World Cup games here?
Sure. And a lot of it is like, much like any startup business, it's taken time to get here. And obviously that investment has grown over time. So it's continuing to grow that investment. And a lot of that comes down to trying to draw additional private dollars, whether that's, oh, hey, getting those sponsorships, to as much as like, how do we get investors into these leagues and other things? And at the same time, like any World Cup bid as well, it's about drawing that private and public support, getting that political support, getting that business support. A lot of times they'll have, much like when they made an attempt towards the 26th World Cup, you'll have a hosting committee with business leaders and political leaders, and a lot of that helps with the momentum towards that. So I think we'll start, especially as some of these things become more formalized, we'll start seeing them try to push to that. And the challenge is you're obviously competing with a lot of different cities. There's a lot of cities across the U.S. that are seeing a lot of this growth in women's sports as well. I mean, you think of the West Coast, a lot of the teams have had success there, and they have a legacy audience where they've already been successful, like getting some of those 15, 20,000 seat crowds. So you're competing with a lot of that when it comes to, oh, hey, am I the odd team out when it comes to the final selection or what?
They have certainly made an impact in a lot of ways. That is undeniable, and it's exciting to see the growth of those teams and also the growth of their success. I want to do a quick update here. Here's a story on Fox35Orlando.com about the release of Phoenix Eichner from the hospital, again, facing murder charges. We said earlier that he's due in court tomorrow morning in Leon County. We've learned he's been transferred to Ocala County. so expected to make his first appearance there. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, we have gotten through Mother's Day, and so now the next holiday we're all thinking about is naturally Halloween. Well, either way, we got some new details today about the upcoming Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which is kicking off at Disney on August 15th.
Yeah, we finally got the announcement from Disney a little later than normal. Usually Disney likes to hype up a halfway to Halloween in regards to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, but we got it a little bit later this year. But now we know that it is finally coming back with all of the fan favorite offerings from August 15th through October 31st here at Magic Kingdom. And tickets are going to be on sale starting May 15th for Disney Resort Hotel guests if you have a vacation planned in August, September, October, and May 22nd for all guests. Now, this year we do have, unfortunately, a pretty big price increase on those dates closer to Halloween. The tickets are going up to $229 per person plus tax. But the good news is that if you are coming sooner in August and September, some of those dates before Halloween are $119 per person plus tax. So I think for me, the big thing is that if you really want to go to this party, consider not buying a ticket to Magic Kingdom because you can get into the park at 4 p.m. before the party starts officially at 7 p.m. So if you want to go, then I would try to get one of those cheaper ticket options, you know, maybe not dropping $229, and definitely count the fact that you can go into the park at 4 p.m. to take advantage of the rides before the party officially kicks off.
Darren, what some of the big news that came out of this as well, a new look for Jack Skellington.
Absolutely. So Jack Skellington is already a fan favorite. He usually dominates that party. You can go and meet him. And I mean, it's not unusual for there to be over a 2 or a 3 hour long wait to meet him. He's in the show. You can go and meet him. He's a big part of this. Disney fans love Jack Skellington. And now he has a new look, and I am all for it. Jack Skellington already would meet before, and you could talk to him and you could talk to Sally. But now he looks really, really accurate to his character model that we're used to seeing inside of the movie itself. Throughout the years, it's normal for Disney to kind of update some of their character looks, and they get better every single time. This is absolutely accurate, and I love to see that they put the effort into him, because I don't want to say he was odd before, but he was definitely slightly off from his character model, where now, I mean, the video that Disney released, he's borderline exact.
Drew, what else can we expect with the Not So Scary Halloween Party?
Yeah, I fully agree with Theron about Jack Skellington. That's going to be an incredible offering, and I think that that's something that people will literally get in line for immediately right at 4 p.m. once they start letting the party guests into the park. Also, the fact that at the front of the park at the theater where you can meet Jack, you can also meet Mickey and Minnie together for the first time in their special Halloween outfits. So you have two incredible offerings there right off the bat. And I would definitely suggest to knock those out immediately if you're planning to go to the party, so that by whenever the party kicks off around 7 p.m., that's when you can dedicate your time to seeing those party exclusive offerings like the Boo to You Halloween Parade, the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular, and the fireworks. Those are things that you don't necessarily want to miss because you're trying to see the characters. So you can try to take advantage of that 3-hour window before the party officially kicks off. But yeah, it's definitely nice to see, like Theron said, Disney live entertainment putting investment and time and money into making those things better. That's always a win for us.
And one thing to build up on what Drew said, for going earlier in the year, you can get some of those cheaper tickets. I recommend the dates I specifically pulled up: September 2nd, September 9th, September 16th. Those are all going to be during the middle of the week. You're going to have less people, you're going to pay less money, and overall, you're going to have a way better experience. I know some people prefer to go closer to Halloween because it feels more in the season, but Disney does such an incredible job when it comes to their decoration and the feels. Once you get there, it's Halloween. Your brain just accepts that it's Halloween inside of the park between all the lighting effects, all the new parades and stuff like that. So you have the app. If you have the opportunity, I definitely recommend going during one of those times, especially because it doesn't start until 4. If you can time it right with the kids, you don't even really have to take them out of school for the day either.
Theron, what makes the Not So Scary Halloween party so fun? And you also have experience seeing this from the cast member side.
Yeah, I was a Disney cast member in 2017 and was able to actually give out candy during the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Cast members fight for this role. It is one of the coolest things you can do while working for Disney. You're giving out literally mountains of candy every single night. You get to see the costumes of all the guests that are coming in and the amount of effort that they put into it. So I think the party is itself, what's kind of great, what makes it popular, is that there is something kind of for every person to do. There's usually going to be shorter waits when it comes to certain select attractions, and some people just go there because they like having less people in line and they like visiting the parks at night. So that's great. There's some people that want to go and have a candy experience, maybe something that they don't have in their neighborhood or their apartments. This is something they can do. They know that it's safe. They know they're going to get a ton of candy, an insane amount of candy. So they can go inside of those lines and go trick-or-treating with their kids again and again and again and have those moments. And then, of course, there's the entertainment. So you can go and see the parade. You can see the fireworks show. You can have the stage shows. You can meet the characters. And then, even again, some of the select rides are going to have modifications to what the rides do. Space Mountain's been pretty famous for it, for turning all of its lights off and playing like heavy rock music. And so stuff changes. And I think that's what's nice and why it is so popular and why they sell out every single year, is because there's kind of something for everyone to do, or you can be someone that wants to do all of it at once.
Now, finally, before I let y'all go, we did get also some new information about the upcoming Epcot Food and Wine Festival later this year.
Yeah, so the Food and Wine Festival, like you said, we've got dates back to back. Usually Disney doesn't drop dates like that close together, so I was a little bit surprised, but I'm not complaining by any means because it definitely allows people to play in for their upcoming trips. Last thing I will say about Not So Scary, the Boo to You parade is going to be at 8:15 p.m., so Theron's comment about kids made me think of that. You know, that's not late into the evening, so if that's a main highlight for you, you can see that without your kids being exhausted around midnight once this party does wrap up. But moving over to Epcot, we have the Food and Wine Festival, 90 days this year, 3 months long, from August 28th through November 22nd. And the big thing here is that the E to the Beat concert series is returning, which is back at the American Garden Rocks Theater back at the back of Epcot, and over 35 marketplaces, which is a ton of food. And then Disney said that, you know, in a couple months before we actually see this festival kick off, we'll have that giant foodie guide with all the specifics on where to get everything around the park.
Now that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, those foodie guides are great. And I think that like the Disney community has kind of started to like look for those because Disney always does such a great job, like with the professional pictures and the descriptions of the ingredients and where to get everything. So yeah, it's definitely nice to look forward to Food and Wine. And that's kicking off right when we have Destination D23 out here, which is from August 29th through August 31st. So that's going to be a very busy time with everyone coming in town for Destination D. And you can go over to Epcot. Test Track will hopefully be open by then. They haven't announced a date yet for Test Track, but they've said late summer. So hopefully Test Track will be open. You can go check out all the food. And then we're going to have some news out of Walt Disney World then at the end of August.
That's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We appreciate you joining us. Going to go ahead and send things out to Studio B, where Marlisa and Luann are getting ready for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. which begins in about 20 seconds right here on Fox Local. So keep it here for more news, weather, and sports, and we'll see you tomorrow.
A massive sinkhole swallows part of a popular park.
It does make it scary. Yes, it does.
A walkway crumbles into the deep hole below, and some people now on edge, wondering, could more holes open? A road turns into a river.
I went to pack my papers. I was getting ready if we had to leave because there was so much down there.
Raging rains create some rising waters.